10 Golden Age stars who quit Hollywood and disappeared. Welcome back to Globewise Entertainment, your destination for the untold stories behind the silver screen. Today, we're diving into the lives of 10 legendary stars from Hollywood's Golden Age who shocked the world by walking away from fame at the height of their careers, and then seemed to vanish completely. If you haven't subscribed to Globewise Entertainment yet, hit that button now and join us for more timeless Hollywood mysteries, classic film retrospectives, and behind-the-scenes stories you won't find anywhere else. Let's rewind the reel and uncover the truth behind their silent exits. 1. Greta Garbo, the enigma who walked away. Once hailed as the most mysterious woman in Hollywood, Greta Garbo captivated audiences with her haunting beauty and magnetic screen presence. From the silent era to the dawn of sound, she reigns supreme in films like Camille and Grand Hotel, earning the nickname, the Divine Garbo. But in 1941, at just 36 years old, Garbo stunned the world by retiring after her final film, Two-Faced Woman. She didn't announce her departure, she simply vanished from the screen. There was no farewell tour, no interviews, no explanation. She retreated to a quiet life in New York City, walking the streets alone and avoiding cameras for the rest of her days. Offers for a comeback poured in over the decades, including a tempting script from Alfred Hitchcock, but Garbo never returned. Her silence became part of her legend. Greta Garbo didn't just leave Hollywood, she erased herself from its spotlight and left behind one of the greatest mysteries in cinema history. 2. Jean Tierney, the tragic beauty of Hollywood's Golden Age. Jean Tierney was more than just a pretty face, she was one of the most luminous stars of the 1940s, captivating audiences in films like Laura and Leave Her to Heaven. Her cool elegance and haunting beauty made her an icon, but behind the glamour was a life touched by profound tragedy. At the peak of her career, Tierney's life took a heartbreaking turn. During World War II, she contracted rubella while pregnant, allegedly from a fan who had broken quarantine to meet her. The illness left her daughter with severe disabilities, and the emotional toll haunted Tierney for years. She tried to continue acting, but the weight of her personal struggles grew unbearable. Battling depression and undergoing shock therapy, Tierney slowly stepped away from the spotlight. By the mid-1950s, she had largely retreated from Hollywood, making only occasional appearances before leaving acting for good. She found peace later in life, away from the cameras, living quietly in Texas with her second husband. Jean Tierney's story is one of shimmering talent, immense beauty, and heartbreaking resilience, a star who chose to walk away rather than let fame consume her. 3. Barbara Loden, the star who vanished behind the camera. Barbara Loden seemed destined for a long career in front of the camera. A striking beauty with sharp talent, she dazzled audiences in Elia Kazan's Splendor in the Grass and earned a Tony Award for her work on Broadway. But just as Hollywood started to take notice, Barbara made a radical move. She turned away from the spotlight and stepped behind the camera. In 1970, she wrote, directed, and starred in Wanda, a raw, minimalist film about a drifting woman in a man's world. It was hailed as a masterpiece by European critics, but largely ignored in America. Despite its critical acclaim, Loden never made another film. Then, she disappeared. Not into scandal, not into fame, but into quiet obscurity. She focused on teaching, avoided Hollywood's glare, and battled cancer privately until her death in 1980 at just 48. Barbara Loden remains a mystery, an artist ahead of her time, whose legacy only grew after she was gone. 4. Dorothy Maguire, the quiet retreat. Dorothy Maguire was one of Hollywood's most beloved leading ladies in the 1940s and 50s, known for her roles in films like Gentleman's Agreement, 1947, and The Spiral Staircase, 1946. She was celebrated for her poised, natural beauty and her ability to play roles with warmth and sincerity. But at the height of her career, something unexpected happened. She quietly retreated from the glamorous world of Hollywood. Maguire had always been more private than most stars, and while she thrived in the spotlight, she longed for a simpler life. After decades of steady work, she made the bold decision to step away from the silver screen in the early 1960s. The reasons behind her departure were personal. She wished to focus on her family, including her children, and live a life outside of public scrutiny. Her exit was nearly as graceful and quiet as her career had been. Unlike many of her contemporaries who made dramatic exits, Maguire's disappearance was largely unnoticed by the general public. She didn't announce it with fanfare or controversy, simply retreating from acting and making only occasional appearances in television shows. As the years passed, she spent more time with her family, finding contentment far from the Hollywood hustle. While Dorothy Maguire would later return to the screen in a few smaller roles, her most significant years were spent far away from the cameras. Today, her decision to leave at her peak is remembered as one of the most graceful disappearances in Hollywood history, a choice to seek peace over fame. 5. Montgomery Clift, the tragic rise and mysterious fall. Montgomery Clift was one of Hollywood's brightest stars during the Golden Age, known for his powerful performances in films like A Place in the Sun, 1951, and From Here to Eternity, 1953. With a talent that captivated audiences and critics alike, Clift seemed destined for greatness. His brooding intensity and raw vulnerability on screen made him a heartthrob and one of the most respected actors of his generation. But Clift's rise to fame came with personal struggles that would later haunt him. Behind the camera, he was known for his perfectionism, deep insecurities, and a growing reliance on alcohol and drugs. The pressure of his success weighed heavily on him, and by the mid-1950s, his personal life began to spiral. In 1956, a horrific car accident changed everything. Clift's face was severely disfigured, and though he returned to work just a few months later, his physical appearance and mental state were never the same. His once glistening career began to fade as he struggled with depression, substance abuse, and health issues. Though he continued acting in films like The Misfits, 1961, Clift's career took a back seat to his ongoing battles. By the mid-1960s, he withdrew from Hollywood life, retreating into a private world. His mysterious disappearance from the limelight fueled rumors and speculation. Clift died at the young age of 45 in 1966, leaving behind a legacy of remarkable performances and an unanswered question: what might have been if he had been able to overcome his demons and continue his career? His tragic decline and eventual exit from Hollywood remain a poignant reminder of the darker side of fame, making Montgomery Clift one of the most enigmatic figures in cinematic history. 6. Peggy Cummins, the silent exit. In the 1950s, Peggy Cummins was a rising star in Hollywood, known for a fierce performance in the film Gun Crazy, 1950, which cemented her place as an iconic femme fatale. With her striking beauty and undeniable talent, she quickly became a sought-after actress, landing leading roles in films across the globe. But just as quickly as she rose to fame, Peggy made a decision that shocked the industry. At the height of her career, she walked away from Hollywood entirely. Unlike many stars of her era who faced scandals or fell victim to the pressures of fame, Peggy's departure was quiet and mysterious. She left behind the glitz and glamour of the big screen for a more peaceful life, ultimately settling in London where she distanced herself from the Hollywood spotlight. In interviews, Peggy later revealed that she wasn't interested in fame for fame's sake. "I wanted to live my life," she once said. Instead of attending lavish parties or dealing with the public scrutiny that came with being a star, she focused on her family and lived a private life, shying away from the media. Her decision to step away from Hollywood became the stuff of legends. No dramatic exit, no public farewell, she simply vanished from the screen. For years, fans and film historians wondered why she left at her peak, and speculation swirled around her mysterious absence. Peggy Cumins' story serves as a reminder that not all stars are driven by the pursuit of fame. Sometimes, the brightest lights in Hollywood simply choose a different path, one where peace and privacy outweigh the noise of the limelight. Even in her absence, her legacy in Gun Crazy and other films remains untouched, a testament to an actress who left us with a story to ponder, but not a single regret. 7. John Gilbert, the silent star who vanished. John Gilbert was once one of the most celebrated actors in Hollywood, an undeniable heartthrob of the silent film era. His performances in films like The Big Parade, 1925, and Flesh and the Devil, 1926, had made him the darling of the silver screen, and his intense passion on screen captured the hearts of millions. He was the epitome of the suave, leading man, adored by fans and critics alike. But with the arrival of sound in film, John Gilbert's career took an unexpected turn. The transition from silent films to talkies proved to be a difficult one for many stars, but for Gilbert, it was particularly harsh. His deep voice, which critics deemed unsuitable for the screen, was ridiculed. He struggled to adapt, and his once flourishing career began to fade as his films bombed. The turning point came with his disastrous experience during the making of The Merry Widow, 1925. The film had high expectations, but the combination of his vocal challenges and behind-the-scenes drama led to a box office failure. His career faltered, and the industry quickly turned on him. Unable to reclaim his former glory, Gilbert disappeared from the limelight. Though he tried to revive his career in the late 1930s with a few smaller roles, he could never fully recover from the damage the talkie revolution had caused. A combination of health issues, alcoholism, and the pressures of Hollywood's harsh treatment left him in isolation. At just 38 years old, Gilbert's life was cut short by a heart attack in 1936, a tragic and untimely end to a once promising career. To this day, John Gilbert's story is one of the greatest tragedies in Hollywood history. The man who was once the king of the screen became a symbol of the brutal reality that even the brightest stars can be eclipsed in the ever-changing world of cinema. His disappearance from the public eye remains one of the most haunting mysteries of Hollywood's golden age. 8. Deanna Durban, the songbird who vanished. In the 1930s and early 40s, Deanna Durban was one of Hollywood's brightest stars. With a voice that could charm a nation and a smile that lit up the screen, she quickly became America's sweetheart. At just 14, she saved Universal Studios from bankruptcy with her hit debut in Three Smart Girls, 1936, and soon, fan mail poured in by the thousands. But as she grew older, Deanna longed for more mature roles and personal freedom. Hollywood, however, wanted her to remain the cheerful, wholesome girl next door. Frustrated by typecasting and the pressures of fame, she walked away from the spotlight in 1949, at just 28 years old. She moved to France with her husband, shunned publicity, and never returned to show business. For decades, fans wondered why she left so suddenly. But Deanna stayed silent, granting only one interview in 1983, where she confirmed what many suspected: she simply wanted a normal life. She lived quietly in a small French village until her death in 2013. Her voice may have faded from the screen, but Deanna Durban's legacy as the girl who left it all behind still echoes through Hollywood history. 9. Jean Seberg, the starlet silenced. Jean Seberg's rise to fame was meteoric. Discovered at just 17 by director Otto Preminger, she debuted as Joan of Arc in Saint Joan, 1957. Though her early roles were rocky, her haunting performance in Breathless, 1960, made her an icon of French New Wave cinema. With her pixie cut, piercing gaze, and natural style, she became the face of a cinematic revolution. But behind the scenes, her life spiraled into turmoil. A supporter of civil rights causes, Jean drew the ire of the FBI, which subjected her to intense surveillance and a smear campaign as part of Saint El Piero. The government planted false stories in the press, attacking her reputation and causing severe emotional distress. Unable to find peace in Hollywood or France, Seberg gradually withdrew from the spotlight. Her career slowed, her personal life suffered, and in 1979, she was found dead in Paris under tragic and suspicious circumstances. Her death ruled a probable suicide. Jean Seberg wasn't just a screen legend. She was a bright flame extinguished too soon, a victim of both fame and forces far beyond her control. 10. Audrey Hepburn, the star who chose humanity over Hollywood. In the golden glow of post-war Hollywood, Audrey Hepburn wasn't just a movie star, she was an icon. With her elegant grace and unforgettable roles in classics like Breakfast at Tiffany's, Roman Holiday, and My Fair Lady, she captivated audiences and critics alike. Her wide eyes and gentle voice were instantly recognizable around the globe. But as the 1960s gave way to the 1970s, something unexpected happened. Audrey began to quietly retreat from the spotlight. At the height of her fame, she stepped away from full-time acting. No scandals. No major press conference. Just a graceful exit from center stage. Why? Because Hepburn's heart belonged elsewhere. In the years that followed, she dedicated herself to humanitarian work, becoming a UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador. From famine-struck Ethiopia to war-torn Somalia, Audrey used her fame not to promote films, but to bring global attention to the needs of children. Though she occasionally returned for a role or an interview, Audrey Hepburn had traded Hollywood for humanity. And in doing so, she disappeared from the red carpets, but never from our hearts. And there you have it, 10 unforgettable stars who walked away from the spotlight, leaving behind a legacy wrapped in mystery. Which story surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments below. We love hearing from fellow classic cinema fans. Thumbs up if you enjoyed this trip back in time, give this video a like, and don't forget to share it with other old Hollywood lovers. And if you haven't subscribed to Globewise Entertainment yet, now's the perfect time. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a moment of classic film history. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep the reels turning.